The courtroom stretched high into the violet sky of planet Xerion, where crystalline walls hummed with energy and hundreds of alien eyes fixed upon the lone human standing in the center chamber. Lieutenant Amy Brooks stood with her hands bound in electromagnetic restraints while three judges from different species sat elevated on floating platforms above her. The lead judge was a Caltherian with 4 arms and skin like polished obsidian, who spoke through a translation device that made her words echo across the vast hall. "You are charged with the destruction of our mining facility on Moon 7, which resulted in the deaths of 43 workers." Emmy kept her face calm, though her heart pounded in her chest because she knew the truth was far more complicated than what these aliens believed. The prosecution began their case, and a tall insectoid lawyer named Vexer clicked his mandibles as he displayed holographic evidence showing the explosion that tore through the mining station. The human fired upon our peaceful operation without warning and without mercy. But Amy remembered that day differently because she had been on a rescue mission to save her captured crew members, who were being held illegally in that very facility when her turn came to speak. She looked directly at the judges and began her testimony in a steady voice. "Your mining operation was a cover for something darker." The courtroom erupted in angry chittering and growls from the alien spectators, but the head judge raised one of her 4 hands for silence. "The human will speak." Amy continued and explained how her ship, the Valiant, had been tracking distress signals from human vessels that had gone missing in that sector for months. "When we investigated, we found that your facility was not mining at all, but experimenting on captured species, including my own people." Vexer hissed in protest, but Amy kept talking because she had evidence that could change everything. "My crew member Lisa Morgan managed to send out a hidden transmission before they tortured her, and that transmission contained video files of what was really happening in those tunnels." The judges leaned forward with interest as Amy requested permission to present her evidence. The head judge considered this for a long moment before nodding, and the holographic display shifted to show the files that Lisa had risked everything to send. The courtroom fell silent as images appeared, showing cages filled with captured beings from a dozen different species and scientists in white suits conducting painful experiments on conscious subjects. One video showed a human pilot named Kelly Hughes strapped to a table while alien doctors harvested her bone marrow without anesthesia as she screamed. Another showed a young mechanic called Sophie Turner being injected with unknown substances that made her convulse violently. The alien audience began murmuring among themselves, and some looked away from the disturbing images. Amy pressed on with her testimony because she needed them to understand. "When I received this transmission, I knew my people were suffering unimaginable pain, and I had 2 choices. I could report it through proper channels and wait months for a diplomatic response, while my crew died slowly, or I could act immediately." The judges remained silent as they processed this information. "I chose to act, and I take full responsibility for that choice." Amy's voice grew stronger as she described how she had infiltrated the facility alone while her remaining crew created a distraction. "I found 17 survivors from 6 different species locked in those cells, including 7 humans. But the facility was built like a fortress, and I knew we could not fight our way out because we were outnumbered and outgunned. So I made the hardest decision of my life, and I set explosive charges in the facility's power core, giving all personnel a 20-minute warning to evacuate." Vexer jumped up and shouted that her warning was insufficient, but Amy cut him off. 20 minutes was more than enough time for everyone to escape through the emergency transport systems, and the facility records will show that most personnel did evacuate. So why did 43 workers die? The head judge asked with genuine curiosity in her multifaceted eyes. Amy took a deep breath before answering. "Because your facility director ordered them to stay behind and destroy evidence." She pulled up another file that Lisa had hidden in her transmission, showing internal communications between the director and his superiors. The messages were clear, and they discussed how the illegal experiments must be kept secret at all costs. When the director realized I had discovered their operation, he ordered key personnel to remain behind and wipe all computer systems manually. Even after the evacuation alarm sounded, Amy's voice filled with emotion as she continued. Those 43 workers were sacrificed by their own leadership to protect this secret. And I deeply regret that my actions led to their deaths, but I will not apologize for saving innocent lives. The courtroom exploded into chaos as aliens argued among themselves, and some shouted accusations while others demanded investigations. The head judge called for order, and the other two judges huddled together in whispered conversation. After what felt like hours, the three judges separated, and the Caltherian leader spoke. This court finds the evidence presented by Lieutenant Amy Brooks to be compelling, and we are ordering an immediate investigation into the mining facility operations. But what of the humans? Guilt Vexer demanded with his mandibles clicking furiously. The head judge turned her dark eyes to Amy and spoke with a weight that silenced the entire room. Lieutenant Brooks acted outside legal channels and destroyed property and indirectly caused deaths. However, she also exposed a criminal operation that violated multiple interspecies treaties and saved innocent lives. At great personal risk, the judges have deliberated, and we find that while the humans' methods were extreme, they were proportionate to the threat she faced. Amy felt her knees nearly buckle with relief. Therefore, this court finds Lieutenant Amy Brooks not guilty of murder, but guilty of destruction of property. Her sentence is time served during this trial, and she is free to go. The courtroom erupted again, but this time in mixed reactions as some aliens cheered while others shouted in outrage. As the restraints released from Amy's wrists, the head judge spoke once more. We also commend Lieutenant Brooks for her bravery and her commitment to justice, even when facing overwhelming odds. This is the best of what humanity represents. Amy stood tall. As she was escorted from the courtroom by friendly guards, and outside she found her crew waiting, including Lisa Morgan, who was still recovering but alive. They embraced as cameras from a dozen news organizations captured the moment. That night, as Amy sat in her quarters aboard the Valiant, looking out at the stars, she received a message from the Galactic Council. They were formally apologizing for the illegal experiments and offering reparations to all victims and survivors. More importantly, they were implementing new oversight protocols to prevent such abuses in the future. Amy smiled, knowing that her choice had been the right one, even though it had cost her so much. Sometimes justice required more than following rules, because rules could be manipulated by those in power. Real justice required courage and sacrifice, and a willingness to stand alone against darkness. As she drifted off to sleep, Amy dreamed of home, and of the day when she would see Earth again. But she also knew that wherever humans went in this vast galaxy, they would carry with them that same fierce determination to protect the innocent, and that was something no alien court could ever take away.